here with Nick Chambers of Autotrader.com, and I've got 5 burning questions about the green car industry and developments in green and fuel-efficient vehicles. Nick, so what are you most excited about the 2012 NAIAS?
Well, I mean, Detroit's always a pretty happening show. This one specifically, I think, because there's a lot of trends that are kind of solidifying right now, making things that are affordable, typically not associated with exciting technologies, making them more mainstream. I mean, you see the Ford Fusion, things like active noise cancellation in the cabin there, like those Bose headsets everybody wears on the airplane. You got that inside the Ford Fusion now. And it'll parallel park for you. Comes in all sorts of drivetrains. You've got a plug-in hybrid, electric, turbocharged, regular gas. These are the kinds of things that are being brought to mainstream vehicles now, and it's all across the board. I think the Fusion really highlights that. You're seeing it all across the board, so I think that's the biggest development. And
so to kind of piggyback on that, you know, in general, how are the U.S. Automakers stacking up in terms of the larger?
That's a good question, actually. You know, if you go on 10 years back, I think without a doubt, most people, the idea that the 3 big U.S. automakers would be competing toe-to-toe in quality, reliability, style, technology with anybody from Japan would have been laughable, and now it's really, I mean, I'd be hard-pressed if somebody told me that the Camry was better than the Fusion. I'd be hard-pressed to not laugh at them. I think now, especially with the 2013 Fusion, things like the new Dodge Dart, you know, and the Chevy Malibu, with the eco option, all that stuff, it's really adding up to an American group of vehicles that's better than Japanese. You know?
Okay, moving away from the sort of, or not necessarily moving away, but you know, we talked about the big 3 and the big automakers.
Yeah.
Who's flying under the radar? Who's the sort of unsung hero, or maybe the smaller stories that deserve more attention that aren't getting it?
Well, actually, that's a good question. I think there's companies like VIA Motors, like clearly the underdogs. You know, you got Tesla, you've got Fisker, you've got VIA Motors, companies that nobody really even knows what they are yet. Some people do. Maybe they have a general understanding, but they don't think it's real. And those guys are always the under the radar companies. But I think in terms of companies that are really big manufacturers that are kind of doing things outside of the box right now, it's Volkswagen is actually, it's right there. A lot of the Germans they're kind of like the dark horses right now. Volkswagen is increasing market share all the time, and like Ford, they're trying to make solutions for all sorts of different drivetrains, but they don't really brand themselves as that. Ford talks about its power of choice. Volkswagen, you know, they just introduced the Jetta Hybrid. Now you've got the Jetta Hybrid, you've got the Jetta Diesel, and you've got the Jetta with a regular gas engine. So not even Ford has a diesel in the States. So in some ways, Volkswagen is maybe outdoing them a little bit, just not claiming as much marketing budget for it as Ford is.
All right, and the flip side of that. So who are you? Who's sort of underwhelmed you so far? And
it's hard to say.
And it's okay if no one's underwhelmed you.
Well, no, I mean, I don't see, recently I don't see a lot of coming from like companies like Audi. I see them doing the same thing they've always done, which is make really nice, attractive luxury cars, you know?
Serve nice lunches.
And, yeah, serve nice lunches, right? But, yeah, you know, it's hard to say. I don't know if that's underwhelming just because I'm the green car guy, but it is a little underwhelming to me when I'm expecting people to be making cars for the future, and it's not happening. You know, I guess that's kind of where I sit on.
Sure.
That.
And you talked early on about, this is the 5th question, you talked early on about trends, some of the trends we're seeing. What other trends, sort of big picture trends, macro scale trends are you seeing?
I think if you talk about the Fusion again, that would be a good kind of case study. Bringing technology that used to be only associated with luxury vehicles to the masses, so to speak. No offense to anybody who's part of the masses, I'm part of the masses too, but that's really what's happening, is that you see with things like the Dodge Dart, the Ford Fusion, the VW Jetta, they're all starting to bring these technologies like active park assist, you know, rear view cameras, really good integration with iPhones, you know, active noise cancellation, all this stuff. They're starting to bring it to a level that people can afford adaptive radar cruise control, just to name another one. All sorts of stuff. It's not necessarily green in and of itself, but it helps you become a better driver. Maybe it helps you become more of an efficient driver. And so that technology is really, I think, the trend we're seeing now. And that's really the next frontier for all of the automakers. And case in point, they've started to open design studios in places where you wouldn't expect it. You typically have car makers doing design studios to design exterior, and now you find that they're opening up in Silicon Valley and working with partners like Google and Apple and the big names in the software industry. So that right there in and of itself is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to open up these new facilities. That really tells you that for an automaker, you've pushed the limits of what technology can drive the car, and now you're talking about making it more like the iPhone, So that's where we're at.
All right, that's 5 questions with Nick Chambers of autotrader.com. You can find him on Twitter at EcoChambers. This is Tim Hurst with earthandindustry.com.